Multitasking today, aren't we?
Yeah, we're doing a little bit of everything.
All right, we're good in the back. Coach, whenever you're ready, sir.
All right, I think before we get going here, it wouldn't be right without congratulating Tim Walton on 900 wins. Pretty significant accomplishment. I've certainly enjoyed getting to know him. He's a class act and he's had a ton of success. And spending time with him, you figure that out pretty quickly. So, I think the big thing for us going into year two is I think we understand expectations, but now that we've turned the page to football, it's about, kind of establishing how we practice, right? I think reality is you've heard your entire life that practice makes perfect. Well, reality is practice makes permanent, right? So good practice will help you improve bad practice. You can regress and go backwards. I thought for the most part today the focus was there, the energy was there. A lot of new faces, and certainly I think we've done ourselves well with the new group we've added. So, each person in the organization right now, in particular the players, need to be thinking about what do I need to do to become a complete player, right? And certainly my role in the organization in terms of what I do to contribute to the team, how can I improve and how can I be a complete person relative to that role. So, good first day. I know we got a lot of questions here, so we'll get straight to it. What do we got?
Billy, are you seeing any leaders, as you lost your leaders from last year, are you seeing any leaders evolve?
Yeah, no, I think it's probably I would say, one of the more impressive things about this group. I think we've got a pretty good group of players there that have been with us for a year. They experienced the good, bad, and the ugly last year. I think we've got character. I think we've got a group that is setting a really good example and has a voice. We've done a little bit of extra from a leadership development standpoint in the first year. So, I feel really good about that part. I think the accountability, the detail has been much better through the first two phases.
Any one or two guys that you see that really stand out?
Yeah, no, I think on offense, Austin Barber, Kingsley Guacan have been really good. I think the two backs, Montrell and Trevor. I think Ricky Pearsall on defense. I think Boone has been impressive. Wingo, AP, Jason's even growing in that role. He's more vocal. We've always got pretty good leadership from Crawshaw too. So I'm probably leaving a few out, but I do think we've done a lot relative to allowing the team to have input on who they think is doing a good job, right? And we've worked in different groups, team as a whole, by position, by class. We've done cross sections of groups, doing a lot of small group work there. I think that's going to pay off.
Billy, what's the challenge of losing three coaches 3 weeks before spring, and how are you going to fill those two final roles?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 3 weeks before spring.
Yeah,
Seems like,
maybe
yeah.
two.
So, but yeah, I think it's unfortunate. I think with the NFL calendar kind of being shifted around a little bit, I think I do think it's a compliment to those guys and how hard they've worked in their career. Their reputation, and certainly for the NFL to come call and be willing to do what they needed to do contractually to acquire the coaches. So, more than anything, I think it's a compliment to the staff. But there are challenges that come with it. You got to go through. I'm not just going to flip a coin and hire a guy. If we have the person in place that we think is capable, we make those moves quickly. If we don't, then we're going to be very thorough. So we're making progress in that area. We should have some news here shortly.
It looks like you have some analysts though out there now. Is that how you compensate, or how do you deal with it in the short term?
No, I think we're built to handle the attrition to some degree. The layers that you've got in each room, whether it's an analyst or a graduate assistant or a student, whatever we have in each of those rooms. So we've been able to manage it, but still it's evident. We need a coach or two there. So, but we're going to be patient and work hard, but work smart at it.
Billy, you look at your quarterback room, you've got some new faces in there, especially what do you see from those guys, especially going into this camp?
Yeah, I see really a group that's wants to please. I think I see a group that's working really hard. Obviously, Jack's benefiting from being in his second year, but I've been impressed with Graham's work ethic. I think he's done a good job of, he's got a really good grasp of the system. Max is obviously in year 2 as well. Most importantly, just the example there, working hard to connect with the rest of the team. But yeah, I'm excited about that group, and certainly some good and bad out there, like you would expect the first day. But overall, really looking forward to that group and the progress that they can make.
Billy, to follow up on what Mark was asking, what were the kind of the challenges that a defensive coordinator and filling that so quickly? And how much of what you guys are running is going to be what you ran last year versus what you ran in the past, kind of meshing that together in a really short time?
Yeah, no, I think we're in our tree of coaches, if that makes sense. I think Austin is well respected out there. I think the opportunities that he had this offseason is a reflection of that. But Austin was with us in the past as a graduate assistant. He came back as a position coach, and then certainly for him to get an opportunity to coordinate defense for 2 years and really do a good job. I think his reputation is good. So that one was a little simpler than the others. I think it's going to allow us to, he knows the verbiage, he understands the system, and certainly, that network of people is pretty well respected there. I think from that staff at Louisiana, I think we've got 4 defensive coordinators out there, calling defense. So, Austin has done a great job. He's hit the ground running, and so far so good.
Advantage to not being a coordinator, especially as young as he is, to not also having a position room?
Yeah, no, I think he still will work with the safeties. I think that, but I think we're sticking with kind of just our overall plan relative to improving the defense from an efficiency standpoint. Harper Long's giving you a call there.
My 11-year-old daughter.
Okay, there you go.
Probably got some real trauma going on.
Yeah,
Broke a nail or something.
But I would say that the intention prior to Patrick's departure was to make Corey the secondary coach. We're doing a number of other things there relative to edge players and interior defensive line. So that was the intent the entire time, and certainly we just had a coordinator change, so we'll take the same approach.
Safeties moving to Marcus Weston there. Can you go into that move a little bit and what he could provide in that room?
Yeah, no, I think it's a position that's probably a little thin, truth be known, and then I think Jamarcus is a guy that's played really well for us on special teams. He's done a good job on the punt team and the cover team. And we do a number of drills where we ask those 4 core offensive players to take part in tackling circuits. And I think that the defensive staff felt like observing him in those settings that he had a skill set. He's a really good defensive player in high school. So I think there's a skill set there. It's just going to be a matter of learning the system, learning the communication fundamentals. But I know Jamarcus is excited about it, and I know our coaching staff is looking forward to working with him.
Is your tight end coach that you're going to hire, is he also going to have any special teams responsibilities, as a coordinator perhaps?
I don't think so. Obviously, all of our assistant coaches on both sides have responsibilities in the kicking game, but he'll carry a heavy load on offense with the tight ends, and then certainly, in the return unit, the block unit, and the PAT field goal unit, our offensive coaches coach those units. So we'll stick with the same blueprint there.
So on the receivers in day 1 and the push-up thing, is that new or is that something we did last spring too in terms of
Yeah, we've always done that. I feel really good about that group. We've got a couple new players there that are here mid-year. I thought Andy Jean, as a newcomer today, did a lot of really good things. I think we've got some guys in the second year in the system. Little wet ball drill out there today, so that was beneficial. I think we've only had a couple opportunities to work in the rain, so good day. I look forward to watching that group.
Two more questions, we'll go to Mark and then in the back.
We dived in a little bit on year 2 last year, but where do you hope or where do you expect to see the biggest jump in year 2 success or on the field, or, this time of year maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think, probably the biggest thing is you start in a different place, from a knowledge standpoint, a communication standpoint, the set of fundamentals at every position. So you got a core group of veteran players that, they walk out here the first day you put the ball down, they don't blink, right? So not necessarily what to do, but now it's how to do it, why we do it that way. And I also think the players will benefit from all parts of the organization being in the second year. I'm going back looking at my notes from the previous year. I mean, need multiple pages, to get all those things fixed. So, I mean, I just think we're starting in a different place. It's ultimately from a system standpoint, offense, defense, game changers. It's like you moved to a country and learned a new language last year. Now you've been living in the country for a while, so you're a little more fluent, and I think all of a sudden you start to process a little bit quicker. You anticipate better. You play faster. You get more production. So we still have 27 brand new scholarship players out there, but overall, veterans and then a group of rookies that I think bring some things to the table.
Another thing is, too, I mean, you have a new offensive line coming out here with this dynamic running game. So what's the timeline for this offensive line to gel and get ready for the season?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's probably one of the things I'm most excited about. Line of scrimmage players, in particular, all the mid-year players, I think, make us better. And then we've got a good core group. You think about offensively, Austin, Kingsley, Richard, or Richie. And then I think guys like Slaughter, who are in year 2, Herman's in year 2, and then here comes all the rookies, right? The freshmen and the transfers. So defensively, kind of feel the same way. Good-looking group of portal players out there, 10 of them.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Right.
Thank you, Coach.
Give me Coach hockey today.
The gymnastics the other day.
That was good. Man, I'll tell you.
Notes are bleeding, but we're gonna empty the clip.
Oh, there's the notes are wasted.
Give me 1 second.
All right.
Toast.
Oh gosh, I've just messed all y'all stuff up.
What the?
Keeping you on your toes. Are we good to go?
Good. Cameras in the back good? All right. Yep, Coach. Whenever you're ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for having me today. Really excited about year 2. I've been saying year 2 is a blessing. It's just something about now there's an understanding, right? And then once you have an understanding of how things are, the expectations, the standards, the players know us, we know the players, the strengths, the weaknesses, all those things. Now you're a little more of a skilled sailor, if you will, and you know when to push, you know when to pull back. So I think there's just a lot more awareness from the player level to the coaching level, and I think that just helps organization-wide, and that's why year 2 has been such a blessing. There's one of my favorite quotes is, "He who cannot be a good follower cannot be a good leader." So I think last year a lot of guys were trying to follow, trying to do things the way we were asking them to do them, And now being in year 2, there's a little more understanding, a little more expertise. So now I think some of those guys, year 2 in Coach Napier's program, we have a better chance of leading the right way at the player level. You know, Coach Napier mentioned it just yesterday. He said, I see more detail, I see more discipline, and that comes with a better understanding of what the rules of engagement are. You know, I think about last year, and I try not to get consumed with the results because that honestly pisses me off. It's embarrassing. And I'm trying to get engaged and get consumed with the work. And that's what we've been doing the last 2 months with the lifting, with the running. I love the look in the guys' eyes right now. They're showing up, giving everything they got. There's a better understanding of what's expected in the weight room, what's expected in the runs. And because of that, I'm seeing a lot of positive things. Now it's spring ball. What an exciting time. Florida football, Florida weather. It did rain on us a little bit today, but that's for the flowers to come out. Excited about the competition all throughout the team, and I think that's going to make a big difference when it's all said and done. We put the ball down in the fall. Any of you guys have any questions?
Who's fairly stood out that has really transformed his body since last year?
Gosh, I hate naming names, but there's a lot of people who have worked really hard. If you do the bare minimum, you got to work really hard. But if I had to come up with one guy that, you know, is a tremendous example to his teammates, it'd be Shamar James. You know, he was just a pup last year. He learned from 2 great leaders, Ventrell Miller, Amari Burney. And now I think he's stepping into year 2. He has a better understanding of the off-season program, the end-season expectations, and he's got a chance to flash.
Some of those promotional videos came out showing how good James was at. Can you give us some updates on some of his numbers and where he ranks in terms of some of those drills?
Yeah, I know you guys like numbers. I think, so we had 6 guys clean 335 pounds. Austin Barber, Cam Carroll, Cam Jackson, Shamar James, Desmond Watson, Miguel Mitchell. That's pretty impressive to have that many. I mean, that's elite. That's elite, so.
How much did you see the familiarity from last year kind of translate to this offseason of workouts?
Yeah, that's kind of what I hit on in the opening statements. I think it's just something about having an understanding. It's almost like the unknown, it's like navigating in the dark a little bit. Now the lights are on. Okay, now we know each other. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and there's just a better relationship and just smoother ride.
Is that what you also mentioned in your opening, the guys that are in year 2? You have 27 new faces here.
Sure.
Some of those guys like Shamar, guys like Kingsley, are they leading those guys that haven't gone through it yet?
Yeah, so I think from a leadership standpoint, the best thing you can give as far as leadership's concerned is your example. So I think if you want to talk about year 2 guys, I think of a guy like Trevor Etienne. I think of a guy like Shamar James. I think of a guy like Devin Moore. I think of a guy like Miguel Mitchell. Those 4 guys are as good of an example, like inside the building, outside the building. So when you have all these new guys come in, they're watching that example done at a high level, and it makes a lot of good. What I can appreciate about having so many new guys, a lot of times when you're new in a program, you're wide-eyed and you're trying to get your cues from how things are done within the walls. And now I think now that there's a better understanding, people aren't looking around. They can see that example, like I just mentioned with some of those guys.
I'm curious about the endurance piece of your trade, because this team did have a lot of second half rallies last year, and how do you even build upon that in terms of how you guys last for 4 quarters?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a mindset. It's an attitude, belief. That's one of our core values, one of Coach Napier's core values. It's a 6-1, integrity, together, discipline, effort, tough, believe, 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 right? If you don't believe, you don't have a chance. So it doesn't matter at any phase in the game, any point in the game, you have to have a high level of belief or you don't have a chance. And that's some of the things we've learned and some of the things that we've used to have success at some of the other places we've been. And it's going to be a huge building block here. We saw flashes of it last year, but quite frankly, that wasn't good enough. And we shouldn't even be in some of those instances this year.
Can I ask you a couple questions about Desmond Watson? Just what have you made of his progress over the last year? And is there anything unique about developing a plan for a guy like that?
Yeah, Desmond, this is what I say. Desmond is a large human. It's no secret. What's impressive about Desmond is how nimble and how quick he is for what size he is. it's obvious, and he'd be the first to tell you he's got things that he needs to work on, and he's working on those things. And once he gets a hold on those things, he's got a chance to be really special. But, you know, like all of us, we got things that we need to work on. Once he gets a hold of that, he's got a chance to be special.
Was there a particular area that you felt like needed to improve specifically in the conditioning department from year 1 to year 2 that you observed and were like, okay, this is something I need to attack more in year 2?
Say it one more time.
Was there a particular thing going into year 2 that you wanted to attack specifically or improve within the conditioning or the training of the players?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that go into that, especially when you, at the end of the year, you get some time. We played in an early bowl game, so we had a little more time than normal maybe to kind of undress, if you will, from the season and kind of debrief and quality control and think and reminisce. And there's just, the list is so long on things that we wanted to improve. But I think just starting fresh and tighten the screws on everything from an accountability, and then the individual meetings with the players, the one-on-one meetings with all the players, especially the leadership guys, especially the older guys, you know, asking them, hey, what do you think needs to be improved, right? And a lot of them said, we've got to be on top of the discipline. We got to be on top of the accountability. And I think we've done a better job out the gate. Now, like anything, can you sustain it? So I think if we can sustain some of those things, you'll see what the results is. Like I said, don't get consumed with the results, get consumed with the work.
How about you, you've got these 3 offensive linemen who just came in, all of them very, very large humans. What kind of progress have you seen with them adapting to your system?
Yeah. So obviously that was a position that we needed to make some changes. And I'm imagining you're talking about the transfers, the 3 transfers. I think they've all are big humans, right? Big canvases, big humans. That's what we like. They can bend, they can move well. I got to try and go through each one. You know, Keontae Goodwin, this guy is a machine. He shows up, he works, very disciplined. He's athletic for being as big as he is. I still think he's got some ways to go, and he would even tell you that. But I would be willing to put money on him at some point because he'll show up and he's coachable and he works his butt off. So I really appreciate about him. Micah Mazuka, he's a bare knuckle brawler. He's got something in his neck. He's tough. He's physical. Plays the game the right way. Got a little nasty to him. He's a guy you don't want to run in back alley with. So I think he's going to play that physical type of game up front. Look, we want to be dominant in the trenches, and that's the type of game you got to play. And I think he's going to bring that to the table. And then big Damian George, you know, it's crazy how big, strong, powerful he is. You know, obviously, meeting and talking with him, he wasn't overly happy with the results he's had with 2 years in college, and I think he's hungry as he's ever been. Sometimes, as men, as a human, you almost need to fail and kind of slip up. You got to think from these guys' perspectives. These are the top athletes in the country, right? Everyone is telling them how great they are, and then they get somewhere, and then they get hit with reality, right? And then they don't maybe get the results they want. That can be really humbling, but as y'all know, sometimes a humbling experience can be the best thing that happened to you. And I think each of those guys maybe experienced some of that, and I think that's going to hopefully pay off here with the Gators.
I know you named some first-year guys from last year, but what did you see from Chris McClellan last year and this winter that kind of put him in a position to see the field in year 1?
Yeah, Chris, he's a freak, right? Naturally gifted, naturally talented. And we've been telling those guys, hey, some of you guys had to play this year, but now you don't have to play. So you have to go earn it, right? So I think Seven will be the first to tell you he's trying to be a great example. He's trying to step into a leadership role. He's still got things to work on. He'd be the first to tell you that. But really excited about what Chris McClellan's going to do. His whole thing was first year, a lot of talent. Let's master in the intangibles. So I think he's been working on those intangibles, the sense of urgency, the detail, the discipline. He keeps doubling down on those things. He's got a chance to be dangerous.
Guys, so we have players ready. Let's have a few extra minutes with Coach out here so we can get the players in here, okay?
Thank y'all so much for what y'all do.